Middlesex held their nerve at the death to defeat Lancashire by 6 runs in Manchester for a second successive one-day cup victory. Middlesex batted after winning the toss but lost List 8 debutant Josh De Cares in the 6th over as he turned a ball from Liam Hurt to Danny Lamb. The opener was out for 4 on what could only be described from a distance as a tired pitch. Given the sublime and indeed ridiculous form Stevie Eskenazi has been in of late, he probably wouldn't have minded batting on a surface made of corrugated iron. Once again, he was off and running here. In the win at Worcester last time out, he shared in a match-defining partnership with Sam Robson, and it was this pair again who started to put their side into a good position. Runs were certainly not easy to come by, but these two batted solidly in carrying the score to 64 for 1 after 15 overs. Eskenazi, fresh from his 130 last time out, went after George Balderson and looked nailed on for another half of a century this time out. To the surprise of everyone, he fell for 45, although it took one of the more bizarre dismissals to dislodge him. The ball seemingly hitting the wicketkeeper, but travelling far enough for Lamb to take the catch. That would have had many scratching their heads, but Robson kept his composure and batted on in a delightful manner as he approached his second successive 50. He was on 48 when he lost Peter Hanscom at the other end, the skipper giving Lamb his third excellent catch via a top edge. At the halfway stage of their innings, Middlesex had assembled a score of 119 for 3. Robson passed the 50 off 54 balls, and his innings was now becoming the all-important one. With Robbie White, he took the total to 149 for 3 after 30 overs. From there, the visitors may have been looking at 300, but the loss of White for 18, nicking off to Luke Wells, didn't help. 2 more wickets fell in the 35th over to Tom Bailey. Jack Davies edged behind to go for 7, and Luke Holman nicked to Wells to leave for a second ball duck. The match turned against Middlesex when Bailey struck again in his next over with the big wicket of Robson for 76. He was disappointed after cutting straight to Stephen Croft. In a flash, Middlesex had slipped to 176 for 7, and 14 runs later they were 8 down. James Harris going back rather than forward to Jack Morley to be bowled. Middlesex still had the best part of 10 overs to see out. That didn't bother Tilan Walalawita, who hit a perfectly good ball from Morley for 6. He went big again off Hurt. These runs crucial if his side were going to set a challenging total for Lancashire. Walalawita's fun was ended as he lost his off stump to Hurt, but his 29 runs had used up only 18 balls. As he did in Worcester, Martin Anderson played a very handy role at the end in making 42 of 45 balls. He left stranded as Ethan Bamber was run out trying to give his partner the strike. Middlesex were all out in the last of their 50 overs for 257. Bamber then started smartly with the ball, trapping Josh Bohannon in front in his opening over. And Bamber was involved again in the 7th, a simple catch off a horrible shot from Wells off the bowling of Harris, a wicket which had Lancashire on 20 for 2 after 7 overs of their reply. Keaton Jennings and Rob Jones led their recovery with a patient third wicket stand, which carried the score to 83 after 20 overs, to have this match right in the balance. De Cares thought he had Jennings LBW, but as the batsman stole a single, he fell to the ground and had to retire Hurt on 42. He was not able to return to the action and looked in considerable pain. Croft replaced him and looked in fine fettle as the target continued to be reduced. The home team putting themselves into a strong position as they reached 126 for 2 after 30 overs, leaving them to find 132 more for the remaining 20 with 2 batsmen well set. Jones got to his 50 from 76 balls with just his 4th 4, and that showed how well the Middlesex attack had maintained their discipline. And they were rewarded for that as the match entered its final stages. De Cares took an excellent catch to have Croft on his way off Holman for 41. But Balderson looked as if he may be the man to take the game away from Middlesex as he smashed a couple of sixes, which took his team to 188 for 3 after 42 overs. Lancashire now needed 70 more for the remaining 8. Holman then had Balderson stumped by White on 19. And 2 balls later, he persuaded Jones, who'd made 72, to hit out to De Caires, who continued his fine day in the field. And when Bamber had George Lavelle swinging a shot to Anderson in the deep, it was Middlesex who were firmly in the box seat. Lancashire on 190 for 6 in the 44. The game had ebbed and flowed throughout, however, so Middlesex perhaps knew that there was another twist in the tale. Lamb and Bailey suddenly began to clear the rope, and in doing so, had their team closing in on their target, 21 runs required of 13 balls. Holman had taken wickets at vital times and now did so again to end with the best figures of his career in any format, of 4 for 56, Bailey the man to go off his last delivery. 16 were wanted off 10 balls when Hurt drilled a delivery from Harris into the safe hands of Hanscom. Lancashire 8 down with Jennings unable to return. So with the last pair together, 14 were left to find from the last over, and when Bamber started it with a no ball that was hit for 4, he may have feared the worst. But the 22-year-old held his nerve and kept his cool, and 2 balls later, yorked Lamb to start the celebrations. It had been a fabulous game which had gone down to the wire. Lancashire all out for 251. That meant a second successive victory, this one by 6 runs. Middlesex are in the hunt in this competition, and they next return to Radlett to entertain Kent on Friday.